Good afternoon everybody. Today I'm in Ireland and I'm having a look around the very colourful town of Kinsale. If you're looking for colourful streets, dramatic coastlines and centuries of history packed into one small Irish town, Kinsale might be the place for you. Once an important medieval port, Kinsale played a significant role in Irish history. But today it's just as famous for its welcoming atmosphere, fresh seafood and vibrant cafes. Whether you're interested in history, dramatic coastal walks or simply wandering through the colourful streets, Kinsale has earned a reputation as one of Ireland's most picturesque destinations. Behind me is the door to Desmond Castle. Unfortunately, it's not open to the public, so I can only show you from the outside. But it was built in the 1500s originally as a customs house. It then became a prison for a while. And then in the 1840s, during the famine years, it was used as a workhouse. This is the start of the walk along the waterfront. After about 2.5 kilometres from the town centre, it eventually takes you to the Charles Fort. So I'm going to head that way now. It's a flat walk, so hopefully it should be quite easy to do. So I thought this was going to be a flat walk, but unfortunately it's not. I've just come across this hill here. So once you get up to this corner to join the road, it starts to flatten off. So about 1.5 kilometres or a mile before you reach the Charles Fort, along this walk you have a viewing point here. So you can look out across the water and back towards the town. And there's 2 or 3 parking spaces here if you're driving. And there's the Charles Fort down there behind the bushes in the distance. I've booked a boat trip with this company, so it should be leaving from here in the next few minutes. They take you around the bay and hopefully I'll get to see some more of Charles Fort, because although I was walking in that direction today, I then found out that it's closed for the next 4 days, even though it's peak season, so I'm not sure what's happening there. But I'm hoping that I get quite a good view of it from the water. Charles Fort is one of Ireland's finest historic fortresses and one of the best preserved star-shaped forts in Europe. Standing at the entrance to Kinsale Harbour, it was built between 1677 and 1682 on the site of an earlier medieval stronghold known as Castle. The shape of the fort allowed soldiers to defend Kinsale Harbour from almost every angle. The fort remained in military use until 1922 and witnessed some of the most significant events in Irish history. On days when it's open, you can wander around its barracks while enjoying incredible views across the harbour to James Fort. This building behind me houses the museum today, but the building is very old. It's 400 years old, and before it was a museum, it was the old courthouse and a market house. This small museum covers local history, including the famous Battle of Kinsale and the sinking of the Lusitania in 1915. Since the inquest into the ship's sinking was held in this building, the museum includes exhibits about the disaster, with artefacts connected to the ship and information about the investigation that followed. The museum also houses a diverse collection of regional historical artefacts. These include the boots previously owned by Patrick Cotter O'Brien, otherwise known as the Kinsale Giant. He was considered the world's tallest man in his lifetime. This was the Kinsale Giant who lived in the late 18th, early 19th centuries. He was about 8'3". Now I'm only about 5 feet, 5'1". So you can see that this is realistic of his height. I would have only come up to his waist. I stayed at the Lemon Leaf overnight, and it's situated right in the centre of Kinsale. I just stopped here for brunch. I'm lucky I'm on my own. I've got a table because apparently they're full with reservations on a weekend. They have a varied brunch menu, and I chose the mushrooms with halloumi cheese, which was delicious. This is Dock Beach, which is quite close to the town centre. There's a pub next to it called the Dock, and if you want to walk a bit further on, you'll find James Fort, which was built in the early 1600s, shortly after the Battle of Kinsale. This fort is directly opposite Charles Fort, and in times of war, a heavy chain was stretched across the harbour between both forts to prevent enemy ships from entering. While Charles Fort has been extensively restored, James Fort feels much wilder. It's quieter, free to visit, and feels like one of Kinsale's hidden gems. I set off from the town of Kinsale on a walk along the coast to get to the village of Courtaparteen. I just stopped here for a break for now. This is a beach called Sandycove. This is the abandoned village up ahead, and you can just see the church there in the distance. So next to the village there's this secret beach, which looks quite difficult to get to even from where I'm stood now. There's a rope here to help you get down onto the beach, and the guide on the boat trip yesterday told us about this, but I'm not going to go down because I don't think I'll get back up. The church was built during medieval times, although an exact time period is not known. It could have been as early as the 6th century. However, there are written records to say it was already in ruins by the end of the 17th century. So there are some people here who have come by car. I don't have a car while I'm here. So I asked them about the other path, but they don't know because they came by car. So they've offered to give me a lift back to Kinsale, which is really nice. So I might take them up on that. Behind the church, the secret beach used to have a mass rock, which is where the Catholics used to hold their religious services in the 17th and 18th centuries when they were illegal in Ireland. So those people that offered to give me a lift back to the town, that was very nice of them, but I wanted to see this place in the woods first, so I didn't want to hold them back. So I asked them just to show me where the road was. so I could possibly take that route back. But I didn't want to miss this part in the woods, and the people who offered me a lift didn't know about this. The village here still has houses, about 9 houses left, very overgrown in the middle of the woods. This was the village of Courtaparteen. This is the remains of one of the houses. As you can see now, it's got trees growing inside it. And you can see the other window over there. So although this is called the Hidden Famine Village, there is a question whether this village was actually completely abandoned during the famine years of the 1840s. Apparently there were a couple of people still here until about the middle of the 20th century, but it's certainly not been lived in for a long time. And I'm sure in the famine years it was maybe partially deserted, as were a lot of places in Ireland. There was mass immigration, a lot of people died. If you want to know more about the famine, sometimes known as the Great Hunger, I would suggest listening to the Irish History podcast, because that is really, really interesting, and it goes right into detail about all aspects of this time. This is the third house I've found so far. As you can see, it is completely covered now. I don't think I'll find all 9 in the woods today because it is very overgrown. There's a better view of this third house. This one here might be a 4th house, or it might be another room on the 3rd house. It's hard to tell with it being so overgrown. This is the inside of the first house I looked at. There were 2 wells in the village. One was for curing warts and one was for eyesight. That's all from me in Ireland this week. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please remember to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.